Have you ever seen somebody wearing a t-shirt and jeans and wondered why he looks so cool, dark, and brooding and maybe a little mysterious? And then wonder why when you wear the same outfit, you look like you just stepped out of an H&M? Or wondered why your outfits just aren't clicking, why they don't look the same on you as they do on other guys? Well, it's actually not necessarily about the clothes. It's likely because you haven't altered your aesthetics to embody the vibe that you want to omit. I've talked a lot in my videos on men's fashion about how aesthetics, such as hair, tattoos, jewelry, stuff like that, can completely change the way that your outfit is perceived. And you guys have been asking me to make a video diving into that, so here it is. But first things first, hello everybody. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah Danielle, and if you do know me, then welcome back to my channel. Now, if you guys still don't understand exactly what this video is about, I'm going to give you guys two examples to kind of show you what you might learn in this video. So the first example is if you want to be perceived as more brooding, mysterious, a little bit dark, but you have a baby face, light brown hair, soft, rounded eyebrows, some things that you could do to kind of change that and give the effect that you want is you could try shaping your eyebrows, adding a little bit more definition to the arch, making yourself look a little bit more like, ooh. You could try growing a little bit of facial hair to make yourself look a little bit more mature and masculine. And you could even try elongating your face by having a haircut where the sides are a little bit shorter so that the hair on the top and back of your head is a little bit longer. There's always the opposite though. If you want to give more granola boy, golden retriever vibes, but you have black hair, a more chiseled face, and like sharp, a little bit harsh eyebrows, you could try growing your hair out a little bit and not keeping up with your facial hair as much. So kind of letting your complexion soften a little bit. If you have facial hair that's even everywhere and you're kind of just letting your scruff grow out a little bit, it'll make you look a little bit softer and a little bit more organic. You could also even get some glasses that are a little bit rounder to kind of accentuate the roundness of your face. Now that I've kind of given you guys two examples that explain a little bit as to what you're going to be learning in this video, keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to start as dark and brooding or start as a more golden retriever vibe. And you don't even necessarily need to even be struggling with your aesthetics for this. This just kind of helps you embody the vibes that you want to give a little bit more depending on what you want to look like. But the first step to kind of figuring out what you might want to change is figuring out how you're currently perceived. So some questions that you can ask yourself to find this out are, do you have a baby face or a more chiseled face and your bone structure is a little bit more apparent? Is your face more feminine or masculine? Because yes, you can have a little bit of a feminine face as a guy, and no, that is literally not a bad thing. Is your complexion high contrast or low contrast? So what that could mean is, do you have light skin and dark hair and dark eyes, or do you have medium tone skin, maybe like green or light brown eyes and like medium tone hair? Just basically how much contrast there is. For instance, I am a like medium to high contrast girl. My natural hair is quite dark brown, I have really dark eyes, and I have dark eyebrows, but my skin is quite fair, especially in the winter, so I have higher contrast in my looks. Are your eyebrows more harsh and blocky and have a little bit more of an arch to them, or are they a little bit softer and rounder? Do you have facial hair? If so, what kind of facial hair? Is it like a mustache, chin strap, beard? What you got going on down there? And do you usually style it neatly or kind of just let it grow out a little bit? Do you have any tattoos? If so, what style are they? Are they visible? Stuff like that. And then lastly, if you need glasses, what shape are they? What color are they? And do they look like glasses that are meant for fashion purposes, or do they look like glasses because you need to use them to read? And then finally, what kind of accessories do you wear, if any? Now the second thing to do is look for how you want to be perceived. Do you want to have more granola vibes? Do you want to look a little bit more masculine than you do currently? Do you want to look a little bit more mature? You could want to look more professional, etc. There's honestly infinite ways that you could want to be perceived. And keep in mind that moving forward, I'm going to be explaining what specific features that I associate with certain vibes, so you can see what little things that you might be able to tweak in order to align better with the vibe that you want to omit. Before I get into what sort of hairstyles and stuff like that that I associate with a specific vibe, I just want to let you know I'm going to be dividing things into 4 categories. So 4 different vibes that you could want to omit. The first vibe is going to be things like if you want to be perceived as more granola boy, like more surfer boy, more outdoorsy guy, hiker, golden retriever vibes, stuff like that. A little bit more wholesome, a little bit more natural and organic. The second vibe I'm going to be calling like dark and mysterious. This doesn't necessarily mean like dark mysterious, dark academia, hiding in the corner at a party reading a weird book, like nothing like that. This could just mean dark and mysterious as in you're a little bit more masculine, a little bit more chiseled, a little bit more mature, stuff like that. The third one I'm going to be doing is street style, more casual, more skater vibes sometimes, a little bit laid back, stuff like that. And then the fourth style I'm going to be talking about is kind of like fashion motherfucker, cool guy, more unique. And this is gonna sound crazy, but this one I feel is perceived in a like sort of secure in your masculinity in a way that lets you express yourself with more feminine things. Does that make any sense? I think that makes sense. It has a lot more personality, this category. And keep in mind, when I'm talking about, for instance, the golden retriever wholesome granola boy, I'm just gonna be referring to it as granola boy. Same with when I'm talking about like mysterious, brooding, dark, stuff like that, I'm just gonna be calling it like mysterious, dark guy. And then when I'm talking about street style, laid back, chill, skater vibes, I'm I'm just gonna call it street style. And then when I'm talking about fashion, cool guy, unique, more personality, that one's just gonna be called like fashion guy. Okay, so keep that in mind as I go through this. So the first thing we're gonna be diving into is hair. Hair is honestly every boy's superpower. I didn't realize before going into making this video just how many different hairstyles there are, especially for guys. Like I feel like for girls, it's just like, oh, you get layers or you get a bob, you get bangs, stuff like that. But for guys, the power of a haircut is so important. So basically, I'm gonna be telling you guys which haircuts I feel align best with each 4 of the previously mentioned categories. First thing we're gonna be talking about though is black men's hair, just because it is a different texture and is styled differently than other hair types. Keep in mind though, as I am going through these hairstyles, that there is so much history behind black hair, and I think that it's so important to take that into account, because I am by no means an expert on this topic, but I absolutely didn't want to leave out any one specific group of people for this video. So this is just what I feel with these hairstyles, and I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind and know that I'm not telling you that it does or doesn't look good if you do it a certain way, especially considering I know that there are so many controversies around white people just giving their opinion on black hairstyles, and I don't want to be one of those people, but I also refuse to leave black people out of my videos and feel like they can't watch them or get any information from them, especially on videos that are about aesthetics and not just about clothing. But I just wanted to throw that out there, and I wanted you guys to know that I am very well aware that I am not qualified to teach anyone anything about what hairstyles look good and when, especially for black people. So diving into black men's hairstyles, we're going to be talking about how to be perceived more granola, more wholesome golden retriever vibes. The first thing that came to mind, especially when looking at photos, was definitely locks, especially if you're to add like beads or any sort of jewelry and accessories to the locks. I think that looks sick, and it definitely looks more organic, more down to earth. The second hairstyle is natural hair, of course, no matter what your hair type is, especially if your hair is a little bit longer, coils, kinks, or curls, it all looks great natural. Something that I found looks great in literally any category is buzz cuts. That goes for any hair type. I just think they look sick. Make sure though that you have the right face shape for a buzz cut, okay? Maybe try out like a few filters on Snapchat or TikTok or something like that just to kind of see if you'd like yourself with a buzz cut, because that is a very big change. But specifically on granola black men, I think that buzz cuts that are bleached look so good. I don't know what it is. I just love the contrast with like the light hair and the dark skin. I think it looks amazing. And the bleached hair looks really good with like organic granola boy colors. You know what I mean? Like forest greens and stuff like that. I also think that textured afros look really, really good. From my understanding, that's just afros that might have a little bit more intentionality to them, like maybe with a little bit of like spikes or just parts that are pulled out a little bit longer, parts that are pulled out a little bit shorter, stuff like that. And then if you're a more like outdoorsy, actually granola guy, and you are wanting to look for more organic hairstyles in that sense, try to opt for a protective style, just because it can be way better to maintain, especially if you're somebody who's actually going like camping and like doing the outdoorsy things. Stuff like braids, 2-strand twists, and locks are all amazing, especially when long if you're a black guy and you're a more granola vibe. But something that I found fits the granola vibe even more is if you're kind of tying your hair back maybe with any sort of scarf, or if you're putting it into like a bun. I think that that looks so good. If you're looking to be more dark and mysterious, I found that waves were really good for this. They look so like sleek and clean. Locks with a fade I also think looks sick. Flat twists look really, really good in this category as well. And then just like simple cornrows I found looked really good. So cornrows, I don't necessarily have a style in them, but they might just be like straight back on your head or any sort of vibe that you like. I think that looks really, really good and super clean. For more street style vibe, I love cornrows, but with any sort of design with them. So I found a lot of photos of black men that had cornrows with maybe like a heart or a star or something like that. That looks so cool. And I think with street style fits, it looks sick and it adds so much detail and stuff to the outfit. Colorful locks also look so cool with this, especially if you have like a specific color palette that you tend to stick to with your clothes. If you kind of keep that in mind, if you were to dye your hair, then your locks will go with all of your outfits and almost add so much to it, and it'll look so like cool and cohesive. Afros and natural curls look so good in honestly any of these categories, but specifically with street style outfits, I find that it looks so beautiful. And twists outs, I don't know how I would say that, but twist outs I also think look so sick with street style fits. If you're more of a fashion cool guy, I also love twist outs. I found that I really, really like this hairstyle. Short dreads with a fade I also thought looked really sick. Bleached buzz cuts, so cool. So cool once again. And then lastly for this one, I also love textured afros. I think that those are so beautiful. Now moving on to if you have naturally super straight hair. If you want to be perceived as more granola, things like a buzz cut, which you're going to see in a lot of these categories, as I previously mentioned. I just think they look sick. I also like a bit of like messy hair that's kind of just feathered everywhere. Or if your hair is just naturally outgrown and you're just not keeping it up that much, but you wear like a bandana or scarf on the top of your head and kind of have it poking out of the bottom, I think that also looks sick and matches the granola vibe very well. well. If you want to give off super dark mysterious, I like the look of barely a mullet if you have shorter straight hair. I think that looks sick and it's really subtle. You don't necessarily have to commit to a full mullet and it'll grow out really fast. I also like slightly outgrown bleached hair on guys with straight hair. I think it looks really cool. And low-key for this section, the messier the better. And low-key if your hair is just kind of like messy and just everywhere, maybe use a little bit of like texture cream or anything like that when you get out of the shower or whenever you're supposed to style your hair with that. I don't know, I'm not a guy, I don't use texture cream. Another thing that you could do is just have this classic like hair that I feel like every guy in the 90s had. I'll show some pictures of it. I have no idea how to explain it though. As for street style, I am gonna say spiky early 2000s like teenage dirtbag hair is so cool, and I think that guys need to bring it back. It looks sick. It looks so sick, especially if you have like frosted tips, stuff like that, which by the way, I suggested to my boyfriend that he like maybe get frosted tips or something like that yesterday, and he was like, really? I've never heard a girl say that she likes frosted tips. Frosted tips look cool. Why don't you bring them back, please? Because they look so sick. I feel like they add so much to your hair, add so much dimension, depth, just makes your hair so much more interesting. Something else you can do is also have a buzz cut with cool designs in it, like bleach your whole head of hair and then just have somebody like paint your head pretty much with hair dye. I also really like the look of an outgrown buzz cut or like an outgrown bleached buzz cut with this street style. And low-key, wear a hat. I just think hats with street style look perfect. And when I looked up street style outfits for men, because I was trying to kind of get a gist of what vibes I got and what a majority of men had their hair styled like, and a majority of men didn't have their hair styled. They literally just wore a hat, and I thought that looked really cool. And then lastly, if you want to give fashion cool guy, you could have a actual mullet or a barely mullet. I like both. Once again, buzzed head. I don't know what I can say about that at this point. And then mod cut. I looked this up. I looked up role model because his hair is what I think of when I think of this hairstyle. And then I found one picture on Pinterest that had mod cut underneath it. So I looked up mod cut and I think that's what this haircut is called. I think this looks sick with this style. This looks so cool. If you have like a mustache, tattoos, glasses, I think this haircut is awesome. And then the last hair texture is kind of anywhere from textured to curly hair. So in this, if you want to be perceived as more granola, you could do kind of just like surfer guy hair. So pretty much just like long everywhere and messy, not really brushed, kind of just letting it dry and a little bit frizzy sometimes. I also really like shoulder length curls, especially when guys tuck their hair behind their ears. If you have like outgrown bleached hair, I also think that looks really good for a more granola vibe because it just shows that you kind of like don't really care too much about what your hair looks like, but in a good way. And I also really like just kind of all over curly hair with like slightly trimmed sides. If you want to be a little bit more dark and mysterious, I really like shorter, tight curls in this category, medium length curls and waves, and lastly for this one, messy, spiky-ish curls. I'll definitely have to show pictures to kind of explain better what I mean. If you want to give a little bit more street style, it's pretty much the exact same hairstyles as I put for the straight hair that I think look best in street style if you have wavy to curly hair as well. And then if you want to look cool, trendy guy, once again, I think mullet / barely mullet also looks sick. And if you have a mod cut but your hair is curly and a little bit longer, I also love that. If you have like gelled hair but it's not slick back and it's not all put together, it's kind of like how everyone used to want the wet hair look. That is all we have for the hairstyles, but I just wanted to mention that it's also important to note that darker hair is definitely associated with the more dark and mysterious brooding type, whereas lighter hair is usually perceived as more golden retriever. And if you want to kind of experiment with hair color, there is like hairsprays and stuff like that that is colored, so you can just kind of spray that into your hair, see if you like it, and then wash it out, and you don't actually have to commit if you didn't end up loving it. The second category we're going to be talking about is eyebrows. There's not too much to cover in this category realistically, but if you guys want to lift your face up, maybe your eyebrows are a little bit low, then it might do you good to kind of pluck the underneath side of your eyebrow a little bit, maybe make the arch a little bit less far down. This will lift up your face, make you look a little bit more snatched and even a touch more feminine. And if you want to look a little bit more masculine and a little bit more like brooding and dark, accentuating the arch in your eyebrows but leaving them thick is a really good thing to do. It kind of makes you look a little bit more like... And then if you want to look a little bit more granola boy, a little bit more wholesome vibe, then don't let the shape of them be too aggressive. Don't shape them too hard and like too exact, and keep them natural looking, but not too like harsh. You know what I mean? Like you don't want your eyebrows to be like the main focus of your face if you want to look a little bit more golden retriever. So for this category, I'm going to be giving you guys the facial hair that I associate with each of the 4 previously mentioned vibes and categories. So the first one is kind of granola boy. With this one, I think like a light stubble that's like a little bit soft. So maybe maybe even a little bit more than a stubble. Like when you touch it, it's not rough to the touch. Or no facial hair and a completely smooth face. This definitely makes people look a little bit more baby-faced to an extent. If you want to look a little bit more dark and mysterious, having a mustache only and the rest of your face being clean shaved, or a mustache and this like little bit on the chin, don't know what that's called, that also looks a lot more like dark and mysterious and a little bit more like ooh, you know what I mean? For street style, I like no facial hair or like neatly shaped stubble, so basically facial hair that you keep up with quite easily, or once again just the mustache with a little bit on the chin. And then if you want to look more fashion cool guy, mustache only. Yep, mustache only, 100%. But also pretty much everything. I feel like if you're a more fashion cool guy, it allows you a lot more freedom to kind of express yourself in more fun ways with your facial hair. But if you're just starting out and don't necessarily know exactly what you like, I think starting out with just a mustache is a great way to go. The next thing I'm going to touch on is glasses. So to appear more granola boy, try rounder glasses because they're not as like sharp and intense. If you're trying to look more unique and fashionable, try experimenting with funkier frames, even colorful frames, because those just add to the outfit, you know what I mean? Like it looks like you picked out your glasses for fashion purposes, not because you need them to see. To look more dark, masculine, mysterious guy, try thinner frames that are a little bit more square and a little bit more subtle, you know what I mean? And then for street style and like fashion guy vibes, try sunglasses that have a really cool tint to the lens. Second to last category is tattoos. Now, am I going to tell you how to permanently alter your body? Absolutely not. But if you look more granola golden retriever vibe and you want to look more masculine and brooding, tattoos could be a great thing to do. But this is also coming from somebody who doesn't necessarily see tattoos as that big of a deal. So take a lot of time to think about the lengths that you're willing to go to alter your aesthetics. You can even think about what style of tattoos that you want to get. You know, if you want to look more like cool guy, fashion guy, you could get a little bit more like patchwork tattoos, a little bit more unique tattoos. If you want to look more dark and brooding, you could get more like realism tattoos, but not necessarily like the whole lion and clock and roses situation. Not telling you to get those. Would never tell you to get those. If you want to look tatted up, but you don't necessarily want tattoos all over your body, you could get a few on your forearm and hands. I love my hand tattoos so much. They're actually like my favorite thing to get tatted. I want my hands to be covered in tattoos, but don't just get a tattoo because I said it'll make you look more mature and dark and brooding. Don't do that, okay? The tattoos alone are not going to do it. The tattoos are going to look like you are like a younger, more wholesome golden retriever guy who just got tattoos. But if you do the tattoos and like get your hair a little bit darker, try any of the hairstyles that I previously mentioned, stuff like that, then you will look a little bit more dark and brooding. And the very last thing that I'm going to talk about is hats, because as surprising as it is, hats really do change the way that your outfit is perceived and the way that your aesthetics are perceived, especially if you're not willing to change your hairstyle. So the first things first, if you're a granola boy and you're looking for hats to wear, you could try 5-panel hats. I find that those are so much more like granola vibe than just a regular baseball hat. You could also do toques and beanies, especially ones with a more organic look to them. So organic looking colors and thicker knits look really great for this one. And then bandanas and scarves that are just pretty much mostly used to keep your hair back also look great. If you want to look more dark and mysterious, I found that no hat is better for this category. If you want to embody more street style, regular baseball hats, flat cap baseball hats, stuff like that looks great. More funky beanies, whether they be cool in colors or the shape, like the ones with those little like cat ear looking things. Also, of course, stuff like bandanas and scarves as well. And then lastly, if you're more of a fashion cool guy, fur hats, 10 out of 10. Also in street style, actually. Fur hats can look really good in street style fit. Golf hats, pretty much any hat that's like more unique and fun and that you can play around with a lot look really, really good in this category, because a fashion person is just like, you have more personality, more uniqueness, more sense of self in your wardrobe, and you're kind of just buying what you like because you like it. So I think that a more unique, personalized look for your hats is definitely the way to go in this category. And that's all the little aesthetic things that you can do to kind of change and alter yourself to fit exactly the vibe that you want to omit. Not that you have to omit a specific vibe, but I have been asked quite a few times to make a video on this, and I thought that it would be a really interesting and informative video to make for you guys. I personally can't stick to one thing because I switch vibes like pretty much every day, but if you guys are somebody who know how you like to dress, know your vibe, but something just isn't clicking, or if you're trying to like dive into a vibe a little bit more, these are some really great things to do. If you guys have any questions, clarifications, any advice, anything like that, please feel free to comment it down below. Keep in mind that my comments are a place for conversation and discussion, not a place for just random hate. And also, I do not know who any of these people in these pictures are. These pictures are all taken from Pinterest, so if you guys know any of the creators that are in the photos, please feel free to comment their names down below. Anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you so so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that it inspired you guys to really embody whatever vibe that you want to omit. And if you guys take any of the advice that I've given in this video, please send me some pictures because I think that would be so sick. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. Bye bye.